Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we are going to have a pairing video today, and we are going to revisit our Macrothele gigas, the giant Japanese funnel web. Now you regular guys would have remembered when we done the three-part pairing that we done of them early or late last year, and unfortunately our female molted out. So if there was a successful pair in there, it was then null and void, because as we know, we can pair our females, but once they molt, they shed that sperm with that molt, so they don't carry it with them. So if you've paired your females, you've mated them, and then they molt out, then they are null and void. You're not going to get an egg sac from that. So here we are again. We've managed to secure another male, and we've actually got some of our own males up and coming. Some of them that are growing on from our youngsters. But we've got this other male, and we're trying him out now. Now it's really interesting behaviour, and it's very different to the pairing that we've done before. Very different behaviour. Right then, well, without further ado, sit back, have a watch of this and see what you think, and I will see you very shortly. Now here we are, just about to introduce our male Macrothele gigas, the giant Japanese funnel web. Now, as you can see there, by maintaining contact with the brush, we're not getting any aggression from our male, and he's reasonably settled. There you go, he's in. Now, we've been playing around with different methods of how we put our males into our females' enclosures, and trying different ways to see how we go. And one of the things that we've noticed is if you maintain contact with your paintbrush and the spider, they behave far better. If you prod them or tap them, this will often induce an aggressive or defensive attitude. And we get a lovely close-up of our male now. You can see that lovely jet black, the shininess of them legs and the carapace. You also notice there that his fangs are black as well. We will see later on with a female, she is red. Another thing that you can see from this close-up is just how hairy these spiders are. At first glance, they often look like they're quite bald and shiny, but as you can see there, they are in fact very hairy. Also to notice there on the end of the legs, the feet, they don't have the big padded feet that the tarantulas have. And this is possibly one of the reasons why they cannot climb the glass. Very distinct set of eyes there. A rather sparsely covered abdomen. And look at how hairy those spinnerets are. Absolutely perfect. Now this male has been mature now for maybe 3 months or so. And he has been in with this female once before. Now another thing that we've noticed with the Macrothele is that they don't really get on with the job particularly fast. They're quite slow and methodical with what they do. They seem to spend a lot of time sitting, thinking about what they're going to do. I'm not sure if thinking is the right word, but they do seem to be, they spend quite a bit of time sitting and assessing before they make a move. Now this is something else that's become very apparent when we put them in a new enclosure. They are quite haphazard like this. They're going around and around. And it's almost like he's actually getting his bearings. You notice the circle that he makes is getting a little larger each time. He's starting to investigate. Now then, there's a hole there in that piece of wood. And look at that, he's gone straight down there. Our female will be in there somewhere. Good luck, my friend. Now here's our female. Now one of the things that we've done this time round is we've allowed our female to go a lot longer after molting. She molted out maybe 4.5, maybe 5 months ago. So she's been a long way into her molt cycle. And we've noticed as she's got older, her appetite has decreased. She's not quite so hungry. Our male is actually right in front of her. It's very difficult to see through the glass, but you can just about make out his legs in there. And they have contact straight away. Now we've seen no aggression so far either, which again is another really, really good sign. If you remember on previous pairings with these guys, we had things done differently and our females were very up in the air, fangs extended. We've not seen that so far with this one. I also noticed there that we normally have a backing board on this enclosure, and there is very, very little webbing. Now we have a number of spiders like this, and we think maybe it's coming into age, or the fact that they just feel secure, that they don't need to web up. But it does seem to be that the older spiders web a little less. And as you can see from this enclosure, for a funnel web, she has webbed very, very little. When she was younger, this whole enclosure would have been covered in web. You see our male now creeping out through the bottom. He's taking his time, and to be honest, I can't say as I blame him. Here he comes. Now each of them know that the other one is here now. You see how very relaxed they are. Here we have contact now. There you go. Now you notice there the way the female turned round. There was no aggression there towards our male. Notice the huge spinnerets on the female. They are massive. And what we're hoping for now is the fact that we've left her to go much further into her molt cycle. We're hoping that she is actually ovulating now. Her abdomen has increased in size a little bit. You see our male is coming up now. So I think it's maybe beneficial to catch our spiders when they are actually ovulating rather than pairing them too early in the molt cycle. Only time will tell, but it's a theory that we're playing with at the moment. As you can see there, the male has gained the higher ground. You see he's maintaining contact with her. Clearly see his pedipalps there. They look like boxing gloves, which is quite often they're referred to. Here you go. See, she's initiating there. She started the tapping. Look at that. Very, very receptive. This is a different female that we're seeing this time round compared to last. Notice the red fangs on the female now. You notice there's little tiny pulses from the male. There you go, she's initiating again. Well, male is straight in there. You can see his pedipalps are now working. He's not 100% comfortable, but she appears to be very willing. There we go, we can clearly see those red fangs now. They are large for a spider of this size, and very powerful looking. You can see the eyes there. There we go, back up to our male. You can clearly see the emboli there. Now these very, very fine movements that we're seeing from the male, you notice he almost scrapes the web. He's initiating this time. Or is he looking for a better position? Now it's become very evident with all of the spiders that you cannot rush what is about to happen. Here we go. He's not 100% happy. And we sometimes find this. Our males need to find exactly the right position before they'll fully commit. And this can take some time. And with some spiders, it can be hours before they feel comfortable. Now, we have to ask the question, is it because they're not comfortable, or is this part of the courtship? Do some spiders have a very, very long courtship before the final act? There you go. You see that tiny, tiny little pulse from the male? It's almost like a tiny little flinch. There he goes again. There you go. You see, she's responded there. The communication between these spiders is so subtle. Now we get a better view now. We come up on top. You can see the pedipalps extending there on the male now. He's searching. Now you can also see the emboli on the male there. It's literally sticking right out. So he is almost there. He's ready. The size difference is quite something with these as well. Our female is getting on for 5 inches or so. There you go, she's initiating once again. She's encouraging him all the time. Notice how he's holding them out of the way at the moment. Here we go, now he's starting to look. He's searching now. He's still looking. There you go, tiny little pulses from the male once again. This is such an interesting point in the pairing. Many spiders actually stay in this position. The males just hold the females, but they're not actually doing anything. Now I'm sure they are communicating to one another all the time. We're just not seeing or understanding what it is that they're saying. And you see he's backed off again now. Notice the emboli there. You can see they're actually sticking out. They are fully ready to be used. So it shows our male's intent. He's clearly ready to pair. We just got to get our female in the right position to make this happen. Now another thing that we done prior to pairing these guys this time was we allowed the enclosure to dry out a reasonable amount. See the male there, look, he's cleaning his emboli now, making sure that they're fully working. You can see how they're sort of cocked and ready to go. So yes, we dried the enclosure out quite substantially. These guys are a moist loving species. They do like some humidity. But we thought we'd try something different, and we'll dry it out a little bit and see if this makes any difference. And so far we've seen that our female is very, very relaxed. There we go, we've got a lovely close-up of our male there. See the emboli there? They're like tiny needles. Looks like we're going for a change of position. You notice how when he's around her he moves very, very slowly, very methodically. She's like, where are you going? Come back here. Here we go. She's looking hopeful. He's working away there now. You can just about see the pedipalps working. We're looking for a change in that rhythm. That is possibly an insemination there. You can just about make out there's a slight movement there, but it's not the tapping movement. Very difficult to see. I think we may have insemination there. We often see with the avics that when the insemination takes place with them, it's almost like they're stroking the female. They get the insertion and then they literally just rock it from side to side within the epigastric furrow. And it's very gentle. And that looked to be what was going on with our male just then. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite see. There we go, we're backing off again now. Now, from the position that we saw there, it looked like we got an insemination, and it now appears to be that the male is actually cleaning the emboli then. Maybe this is a good sign. Such a gorgeous looking spider. You can see the size of the fangs on that male. They are really, really large. Now, one of the things that we often get asked with our Japanese funnel webs is how potent is the venom? Are they as dangerous as the Sydney funnel web? And the honest, truthful answer is we don't really know. Now, one thing that we do know is that they are not as potent as the Sydney funnel web, but we don't know how strong their venom actually is. There's been very little work done on the venom of these spiders. We often get asked, is there an anti-venom? There isn't really anti-venoms for spiders, apart from the Sydney funnel web, and I think the brown recluse as well. But there's very, very little work done with spiders. So these guys are classed as medically significant, which means that if you get bitten, the chances are you're going to suffer from nausea, vomiting, sweating, cramps, burning sensation of pain, all these types of things, but you're not likely to die. It's just going to be a very, very uncomfortable experience. So the best thing to do is avoid getting bitten. Now, we often get asked, with all of our spiders, there seems to be this big fascination about how dangerous is their venom. And what I would suggest to you guys is when you look into the spiders, how many bite reports do we actually see? Very, very few. When you consider the amount of spiders in the hobby, the amount of people that keep spiders, there is very, very few documented bites. And that's what we always try and show on this channel, is that even the spiders with the worst reputations can be dealt with in a very safe and gentle way. And our spiders respond to this. Now we can see there our male. See them very subtle movements. And I think possibly in the process that we've seen so far, I think we've seen one decent insemination. You notice her initiating has slowed down a little bit. They still seem rather comfortable together. Now this often happens, is once you've had an insemination, the pace slows down. And this is another thing that's sort of pointing us in the belief that maybe that was a good insemination. Her attitude has changed slightly. He seems to be almost asleep. He's very, very relaxed. It's important that they maintain contact. There we go, I'm going to try again. This is a bad angle. Yeah, it's not such a good angle there for our male. You notice the front legs there in contact with both of them. Oh, now we've seen a slightly different behaviour. Look at that. Here you go. Look, our female now is showing a totally different side to herself. Here you go. You see the way she raises and puts herself down again. I think she's basically told him enough is enough. And she's going back home. There you go. You see our male is breaking away as well. So now's the time, I think, to remove our male. But you notice there how there was no real aggression. She gave him a couple of little warnings at the end there that enough's enough. Time you were on your way. And he heeded that advice. And they've gone their separate ways. Such fascinating behaviour with these guys. Now you can see there with a paintbrush we're moving our male away from the back of the enclosure. We want him at the front so that we can scoop him up. Now bearing in mind these are an incredibly fast spider. Very, very fast. But you can see here now how we can move him around and we can get him. And you can see there, nice and easy. It's a very dangerous time removing the male. He could just run into the female. Fingers crossed, we're lucky. Well, what did you think to that? That was something else. There was some unusual behaviour there compared to last time. And we have changed a few things. Because we didn't really have any much success last time, and she molted out as well, so that was a little bit of a pain. We wasn't reckoning on that. What we've done this time round, as we said in the video, we have actually dried her out a little bit. Now, generally speaking, these guys like a very moist environment. Oh, excuse me. So they like a good humidity and a nice moist substrate. Now, what we done this time is we dried her out for about 6-8 weeks, and we've seen what's going on. And she seemed to be an awful lot calmer this time round. You would have noticed there we had no aggression whatsoever from either of them. They were both really, really calm. Even when we put our male in the enclosure to start with, you'll see there where we moved him, and we mentioned there about keeping that constant contact between the brush and the spider, and we can move them nice and gently. You know, you can go from leg to leg or from to the abdomen to the leg, do whatever, but just maintain that constant contact. And they seem to appear to behave much better. They don't freak out. If you're constantly tapping them, you often see on videos people, they tap and prod their spiders, and you wonder why it gets a little bit annoyed with you. You know, keep that constant contact. It's the same kind of contact as we see with our pairings. When the males, just before they actually make contact, everything's a little bit iffy and they're backwards and forwards like this. As soon as they touch, that's it. They've got contact, they know what's going on, and they settle down. And quite often or not, even when they break away, quite often a male will have one foot just touching the female, and then they'll come in and they'll start again. So we've basically followed that behaviour that we've seen in our pairing videos, and we use that behaviour when we're trying to manoeuvre our spiders to where we want them to be. And it really, really does work. So constant contact and just gradually ease them along. Don't poke and prod them. So that's something that we picked up from the pairing videos. You know, it's something that we've seen, and we've carried that over into our general husbandry, and it really does pay. It really works. Now, you'd have also seen there that the female done much of the actual what should we call it? She was doing much of the interpretation, so she was actually calling the male on more so than him. She was initiating most of the work, and she'd sit there really, really quiet, and it's difficult to work out what's going on. And then all of a sudden she's and he starts in straight away. Now, we did have at least one instance there where it really did look like he was inseminating, but we couldn't quite see. So it's going to be a difficult one to work out. Now, when we done that video, that was some weeks ago now that we actually done that. We took him out, we rested him, fed him, he was feeding well, and then we put him back in and we had another go. And then we took him out again, we rested him for one more week. Now, what we have learnt in the past is the male funnel webs don't appear to last particularly long. Some of our other male tarantulas can go on a year. The big ones can go on for 2 years without any issues whatsoever. But a good 8 to 12 months for any of our other males is a norm. It's pretty much what we expect from them. But with the funnel webs, they are much, much shorter lived. So what we done was we put him in and tried him a second time. We didn't really get much video footage of that. There just didn't seem to be a lot of reaction going on. They were there, they were keen, but it was very, very long-winded. And then when we finally put him in the last time, we actually left him in there with her, and they cohabited for 3 weeks without any issues. We saw them out together. We saw them back behind the log resting together. We never saw any more interaction in terms of pairing or mating, but I would believe that if any of that was going on, it would have been going on at night time. These are a pretty nocturnal spider. So I think most of it, if anything was happening, would have been at night. Now, our male actually passed. He died of natural causes the morning of the Bristol show. So literally just before I headed out the door to go to the show, I checked my spiders. I'd been in here for a couple of hours in the morning, and I was going around doing my rounds, checking everybody, and there he was in the front of the enclosure, and he'd died. And I actually took him to the show, and hopefully he's going to get set and preserved. So that would be nice. So the plan is now, he had 3 weeks cohabiting. So fingers crossed, if anything was going to happen, it should have happened in them times. They both fed in there in that time as well, which is quite interesting. So there was lots and lots going on. But I feel confident that the fact that we had no aggression would show that the things were going quite well. When we done the previous pairing, our female was quite full on. She had quite an aggressive stance. She wasn't particularly, let's say, she wasn't particularly game. She didn't really feel the urge, as it were. Our male was quite keen. Once he got the idea, it took him a little while. But as we've said in the video, sometimes the courtship in these spiders, it's not a 5-minute fix. Sometimes it takes time for them to do things and settle down. And we have noticed there is a set sort of behaviour with our males coming in, going away, coming in, going away. And then eventually they make contact and they start getting it on. But it can still take a long, long time. So if you're pairing any of your spiders, don't be in any rush. I would suggest, if you want to pair your spiders, pair them in the morning and make no plans for the rest of the day. Just concentrate on your spiders. And it's a bonus if they get it on quick. But quite often not, it's going to be a long one. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Fingers crossed we'll have a bit of success this time. We have got our juvies that are up and coming. They're growing. They're getting bigger and stronger all the time. So hopefully by the middle of next year, maybe the middle to the end of next year, we should be able to start pairing some of them up. And they're all from the same locality that we know. So we are guaranteed that they are from the same locality. quite often with these guys, if they're from different localities, they will pair, but they won't take. So, and it's very, very difficult to ensure that you've got the right locality, because you are literally at the mercy of the people that are passing them on to you, and they're often not at the mercy of the people that sold them to them. So it's very, very difficult. We need to make sure we get the same localities, and see how we go. But yes, fingers crossed, all will be well this time. Let's hope so anyway. We're really, really looking forward to this. Right then, well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.